All right, things to consider before moving back to Nigeria. One, electricity. Electricity, electricity, electricity. If you are not used to having sporadic electricity and you think that you can't deal with it, this might not be the place for you. Unless you have oodles of money and can um, just run a generator all day long or an inverter all day long, and you don't mind paying for it, then that's fine. But electricity is something that you definitely need to consider because things can be quite difficult to do without electricity all of the time. What we have is a generator that we use so that we don't really have to deal with not having electricity. But fueling a generator can be expensive, especially since they've raised fuel prices. So that's definitely something to consider. And something that you have to consider in your budget when you're moving back is how am I going to pay for my comfort? Because living in Nigeria, that's one of the most important things you have to do if you're going to stay here long term is pay for your comfort. The more money you have, the more the ability for you to do that, the more comfortable you will be here. And that goes for everything, including light, especially light, because you can have a generator, an inverter, all of that good stuff. So really think about that. Think about how you're going to fund that. Being here on vacation is very different than living here on a daily basis. And especially coming home from work, think about who's going to be servicing your generator, having a reliable repairman. All of that goes into electricity and how you're going to treat that. So really consider that before you move back. The second thing is traffic. Traffic is crazy. Traffic is depressing when you drive yourself, especially. Like, yeah, sometimes I Uber. I used to have a driver before. Like, there are times when, okay, like maybe there's a fuel scarcity. I just would rather Uber than drive myself and deal with trying to figure out how to find fuel. But like, that can be expensive depending on when you're using it. And also, just traffic is depressing and it's long and you can be there for hours and you just have to really sit down and schedule, okay, what time am I going to leave my house? Like, when am I expected in at work? Like, how can I maneuver this? Boy, I tell you, I've learned shortcuts that if you're leaving the mainland and you're going to the island, I can tell you some ways to get around some traffic. I can tell you when you should take Third Mainland Bridge. There are certain time slots you should never take Third Mainland Bridge. If you leave your house between 7 a.m. and 8:30, just don't bother using Third Mainland Bridge because you're just going to be stuck in traffic. Figure out another way. If you leave before 6, like around 6 to 7, you can maneuver your way through. There are times when you should take Echo Bridge, things like that. Like, oh my God, here's a really great hack. Anytime you leave your house, before you go, use Google Maps because Google will show you the fastest way. It'll tell you exactly when there's traffic. I know people use Twitter and Giddy Traffic and Traffic Butter and all of this stuff to find out, but Google Maps has been the most reliable resource I've ever used to navigate leaving my house in traffic. The third thing that you have to consider is, okay, and also with traffic is the fact that you can have traffic even on Saturday and Sunday, especially if you live around Lakey or in VI, all of those places. Let's say that there's a wedding at the Oriental and you just want to go to the movies. Do you know how long it takes you to go to the movies when there's like a wedding at the Oriental because there's no parking in that like general area? It's horrible. Or let's say House on the Rock has a weekend concert or something, and then there's all of this traffic on the Lakey Ekpe Express. So traffic can be expensive. You're paying for fuel. Sometimes you're paying for a driver. It's hard. And to run errands, just forget about going all across the island and all of that stuff. Sometimes I wish I lived in Abuja or another city where there's less traffic. But Lagos is a commercial hub. There's so much to do here in terms of business, in terms of life, in terms of fun. And so, it's great to live here, but to run an errand, babe, just pick a place you want to go. If you want to go to the mainland, if you want to go to Ikeja, stay in Ikeja. If you want to go to the island, stay on the island. If you want to go to Lekki, stay in Lekki. Like, just forget about, oh, I think I'm gonna go from Lakey. I'm gonna just go and run an errand in Ikeja. Then I'm gonna come back to Lagos Island. I need to pick up something here. No, that doesn't work. You just pick a zone and you stay in your zone, and you'll be fine. Okay, another thing to consider is internet. It's so expensive. It's so expensive. Please, my accent is horrible, but it's expensive. And I am a gadget queen. My MacBook and I are besties for life. I'm attached to my tablet, I'm attached to my phone, I'm attached to like all of my gadgets, and internet is what really links everything up. And it's expensive because in the US, I used everything was unlimited. My phone plan was unlimited, my home plan was unlimited. I was on it all. But I have had to wean myself off of it because the internet packages here are so expensive and they run out so quickly, and it's just not practical. So I have to really sit down and think, what do I really value? What programs do I like? Like, there's some really good packages out right now. Like, I currently use Etisalat, which it's fast, but lately it's been going slow. And yeah, I mean, it's difficult. But I hear Glow has I think for like 2,000 Naira, you can get 10 gigs of internet. If you're here for vacation, just stick to that. That's great if you can get Glow service in your area. So that's crazy. And then home internet is expensive as well. Like, I have an unlimited program, like where it's unlimited at night, but like Swift be stealing from folks. Like, the Swift steals from you, I believe. I don't know. Okay, maybe they don't steal. Maybe it's just it runs out extremely fast. So I don't really like enjoy my home internet service, but the unlimited nights actually helps because I'm a night owl. I can stay up all night long. I have insomnia sometimes, so yeah, it works for me. But I heard Spectranet. I've used my friend Spectranet, and it's great. They have really great packages. So you just have to really sit down, think about how you're going to use your internet, think about how you're going to use your phone, all of that, and just figure out, the best way. Maybe don't let all of your apps auto update, because the first day I moved to Nigeria and I went and got my internet, I swear in 45 minutes it ran out. I had to go back to the store and be like, what happened? And they told me, like, look, you can't have all of these apps on because it's going to zap your internet. So I had to make sure that all of my apps no longer auto update. So that's something else you have to consider. So just be really like vigilant and like do a lot of research when it comes to using your internet. And then my final tip is that you got to stop thinking in the currency that you were thinking in before you moved here. Like, I used to think in dollars. Like, I convert, and I still do. I still struggle with converting things to dollars. But when you make money in Naira, you have to really start to think in Naira, because you'll find yourself overspending because you're thinking, oh, well, if I exchange this to dollars, it's so cheap. But then you have to really think, well, I don't make dollars anymore, so me making Naira, it's just not practical anymore. Like, maybe there are certain things that I will always buy in the US or abroad, and I've just, I gotta let that go. That's just an expensive aspect of my life. But there are other things, like, especially in terms of food and, places where you can cut corners and really think in Naira, because food can be quite inexpensive here if you're actually smart about how you go shopping and how you do things. It's not the worst thing that can happen. And what I realized once I would start eating out here and then I would eat out in the US, it's so much more expensive to eat out in Nigeria. Like, if you go to a nice restaurant, it costs way more than going to a nice restaurant in the US. Like, when you really sit down and think toe for toe, and like quality wise, sometimes the quality is a bit better in the US than here in terms of nice restaurants. Like, don't get me wrong, I love RSVP. I love, like, there's just certain restaurants that I love and I'm not gonna ever stop going there. But you have to really sit down and think, what am I willing to spend on and splurge on, and what am I not willing to spend and splurge on, and how am I gonna use my money? I've really gotten into like buying from Nigerian brands, especially like clothing wise and accessories wise and things like that, because there actually are some great people who make great clothes, and I'm supporting fellow Nigerians, and it's a bit cheaper for me than just shopping abroad sometimes. So, you know, you have to sit down, think about that. I love like bespoke things because tailors here are quite affordable if you can find some good tailors, and you can get really cute clothes that just aren't as expensive, or you're not paying that exchange rate, excuse me, when you're buying. So I would suggest stop thinking in foreign currency and try and think in Naira when you can. But let me know if there are any other tips. I'm going to have some more videos in my Lost in Lagos series about things that you should consider, things that I miss, just living in Nigeria in general. And let me know if there are any other topics you'd like me to cover. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you subscribe, and I will see you guys again next time. All right, bye.